Welcome back. Today we're discussing motivation, one of the key drivers behind athletic success. Motivation influences everything from the way athletes train and compete to how they overcome challenges and improve their skills. Let's break down the types of motivation and look at what keeps athletes pushing forward regardless of the rewards or obstacles they encounter. Motivation can be classified into two types, intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic motivation is driven by an athlete's own passion for the sport. It's the love of the game that keeps them coming back, whether they're on a winning streak or facing tough competition. Edward Deci described intrinsic motivation as a desire for competence and self-determination. Athletes with high intrinsic motivation train and play because they genuinely enjoy it, not because they are seeking external rewards. They thrive on improving their skills and feeling the satisfaction of personal growth. Setting challenging but achievable goals, particularly process goals, can support intrinsic motivation by boosting an athlete's sense of control and accomplishment. On the other hand, extrinsic motivation comes from outside factors like awards, praise from coaches, or even the fear of punishment. Examples include trophies, medals, or recognition from peers. Most athletes experience a blend of both types of motivation, which can vary based on the activity or context. While extrinsic rewards can be powerful, intrinsic motivation often provides a more enduring source of drive, especially for long-term commitment to a sport. Achievement motivation refers to an athlete's desire to master a task, achieve excellence, and compete. This type of motivation helps explain why some athletes seem more competitive than others. Psychologists like McClelland have identified two main traits within achievement motivation: the motive to achieve success and the motive to avoid failure. Athletes high in motive to achieve success embrace challenges and take pride in their accomplishments. They're drawn to situations with an uncertain outcome, which provides an opportunity to test their abilities. By contrast, athletes with high motive to avoid failure tend to avoid situations that might lead to failure or disappointment. They either seek tasks they can accomplish with little effort or do so difficult that failing won't impact their self-esteem. While highly competitive sports rarely attract athletes who are predominantly motive to avoid failure-oriented, every athlete exhibits some degree of both traits. Self-controlled practice has gained attention for its role in enhancing motivation and skill learning. In this approach, athletes have a say in their practice structure, such as when to receive feedback or which skill to practice. This autonomy not only builds motivation but also fosters a sense of competence and relatedness. By allowing athletes to make some decisions in their practice routine, coaches can support a deeper engagement in training, leading to better performance and skill acquisition. Understanding how to effectively use positive and negative reinforcement is essential for motivating athletes. Positive reinforcement increases the likelihood of a desired behavior by following it with a reward like praise or recognition. For example, a coach might commend a player's hustle or award a decal for effort, which encourages the athlete to repeat that behavior. Negative reinforcement also encourages a behavior, but does so by removing an unpleasant stimulus. For instance, a coach might cancel wind sprints at the end of practice if the team demonstrates hard work and focus during the session. This approach reinforces the behavior coaches want to see, focusing athletes' attention on what they're doing right. Punishment, however, is used to decrease unwanted behavior. Positive punishment adds an unpleasant experience like extra sprints for a lack of effort, while negative punishment removes something valued, such as playing time. While punishment can sometimes be necessary, particularly for lack of effort, relying too heavily on it can lead athletes to focus more on avoiding mistakes rather than achieving excellence. Emphasizing reinforcement instead tends to promote a positive mindset, better reaction times, and task-focused thinking. Motivation also affects an athlete's ability to focus and maintain selective attention. Selective attention is the capacity to filter out irrelevant cues and focus on those that matter to the task at hand. For instance, a pitcher might focus solely on the batter and ignore the noise from the crowd. Then, by cultivating selective attention, athletes can perform consistently under pressure, ignoring distractions, and focusing on their goals. A powerful technique that athletes use to maintain focus is adopting a mental routine before performance. This routine can include simple cues like focusing on breathing or body position, which helps filter out distractions and maintain consistency. Attention and focus are skills that improve with experience, allowing athletes to control their mindsets and reduce distractions. Let's switch gears and look into some powerful psychological techniques that athletes use to improve performance in their sports. Relaxation techniques help athletes manage their stress and focus their energy. This is especially useful when learning new skills, handling high pressure situations, or executing complex movements. These methods calm both the mind and body, making it easier to perform under pressure. Here are a few common techniques that athletes use. Diaphragmatic breathing, also known as belly breathing, is a simple yet powerful tool for relaxation. By focusing on deep breathing, athletes can lower their heart rate, reduce muscle tension, and clear their minds. This technique emphasizes slow, controlled breathing from the abdomen rather than shallow breaths from the chest. The result is a calmer state, making it easier to focus. To practice, athletes place a hand on their abdomen and concentrate on breathing deeply so that their abdomen rises with each inhale. This form of breathing has a direct impact on the body's autonomic nervous system, promoting a relaxation response that counters the body's fight or flight mechanism. Another popular method is progressive muscle relaxation, PMR. PMR involves tensing and then relaxing each muscle group, helping athletes recognize the difference between a tense muscle and a relaxed one. This technique can be especially useful before practices or games as it reduces physical tension and promotes fluid, efficient movement. The process is straightforward. Athletes tense a muscle group for about 10 to 15 seconds and then release the tension, focusing on the feeling of relaxation. This cycle continues through various muscle groups, allowing for an overall sense of relaxation. However, for some athletes, PMR can lead to a temporary feeling of lethargy, so it's recommended to practice it in advance rather than on game day. Autogenic training is an alternative to PMR that doesn't require muscle tension. Instead, it uses mental focus to promote a sensation of warmth and heaviness in different parts of the body. This technique can be especially helpful for older athletes or those recovering from injury who may find muscle tension uncomfortable. By mentally focusing on warmth and heaviness, athletes can induce a state of calm without physical exertion. Systematic desensitization is a technique designed to help athletes overcome fear by gradually confronting the things that cause them anxiety. For example, a gymnast who who suffered an injury might feel anxious about performing the same skill that led to the injury. Through systematic desensitization, the athlete visualizes the situation in a relaxed state, starting with less stressful scenarios and working up to more challenging ones. The goal is for the relaxation response to replace the fear response. By practicing relaxation techniques like PMR or diaphragmatic breathing while visualizing these situations, the athlete gradually becomes more comfortable. This method can also be useful for athletes who feel anxious before big games or critical moments in their sport. Imagery is the practice of mentally rehearsing skills or events before they happen. Using all the senses, athletes create a vivid mental experience of their sport, imagining how they would move, feel, and react. This practice helps build confidence and a sense of familiarity with challenging scenarios. Research supports the effectiveness of imagery for skill development as it activates similar areas in the brain as actual physical practice. For beginners, it's recommended to start with simple images like a tennis racket or a basketball, focusing on details. With time, the athlete can add movement such as dribbling or shooting and incorporate multisensory elements like sound and touch. Athletes can use either a first-person perspective, imagining what they see as they perform, or a third-person perspective, watching themselves as if in a video. Both approaches can be effective depending on what feels most natural. Imagery allows athletes to mentally rehearse positive outcomes, building confidence and reducing anxiety. It's not a substitute for physical practice, but it's a powerful tool to help prepare for high stakes situations by reinforcing memories of success. Self-efficacy, or the belief in one's ability to succeed in a specific situation, is a critical element in sports. According to Bandura's theory, self-efficacy comes from several sources, such as past achievements, watching others succeed, encouragement, mental rehearsal, and even how we interpret our emotions and physical state. Each of these factors can positively reinforce the belief that success is possible. Athletes with high self-efficacy aren't easily discouraged by setbacks. When failure happens, they view it as a learning opportunity, not a reason to give up. So coaches play a huge role here, as they can help athletes recognize their successes, give constructive feedback, and build an environment where self-efficacy thrives. So self-talk is another powerful tool that supports self-efficacy. It's the inner dialogue we have, often without even realizing it. Self-talk can be positive, encouraging us to keep going, instructional, guiding us through a specific movement or skill, or negative, which can hinder confidence and focus. For example, phrases like "I can do this" or "stay focused" can help athletes channel their energy into the task at hand. In general, positive and instructional self-talk improve performance by keeping the mind focused on relevant cues and by encouraging a positive mindset. While self-talk can sometimes be harmful if it interferes with automatic skills, it is generally a valuable way to maintain concentration and motivation. Goals are a crucial part of building motivation and self-efficacy. They give athletes a clear path and a sense of purpose, helping them push through difficult training sessions. Let's look at the types of goals that athletes typically set. Process goals focus on actions within the athlete's control, like technique, form, or strategy. These goals are effective because they emphasize what the athlete can actively influence during training or competition. For example, a weightlifter might focus on their stance and form rather than solely on lifting a certain weight. Process goals provide a sense of control and make success more achievable, which boosts motivation and builds confidence. Outcome goals, on the other hand, focus on the end result, such as winning a race or achieving a personal best. These goals are often the most motivating, but can also create anxiety if too much pressure is placed on them. Athletes who combine outcome goals with process goals tend to perform better, as this balance keeps them focused on the journey as well as the destination. Short-term goals help athletes see immediate progress, making long-term objectives feel more attainable. For instance, a runner training for a marathon might have a short-term goal to increase their distance by 1 mile each week. This step-by-step progress boosts motivation by creating small, regular wins. Long-term goals, like completing the marathon, give the athlete a purpose and a bigger picture, while short-term goals keep them motivated day to day. When athletes set achievable goals, practice positive self-talk, and experience regular wins, they build self-efficacy. They learn to believe in their ability to succeed, which in turn makes them more likely to push through tough moments. Self-efficacy influences their choice of activities, how much effort they put in, and how long they persist in the face of obstacles. Building self-efficacy and motivation doesn't happen overnight. It requires a structured approach, from setting the right kinds of goals to maintaining positive self-talk and celebrating each step of progress. These mental skills are as essential as physical training, helping athletes stay resilient, focused, and confident.